The awakening of spiritual intelligence is one of the most profound things a human being can experience in this world. But it is as much a blessing as it is a curse. Now, when I talk about spiritual intelligence, and I'm going to clarify what I mean by that, I'm not talking about anything that has to do with religion, and I'm not even talking about something that is only available to people who are explicitly interested in this thing we call spirituality. Spirituality is a big topic in itself, and it can include everything from metaphysics to religion to personal belief to traditions of spiritual practice and so on. All kinds of things are in that category. But when we talk about spiritual intelligence, we're talking about a core dimension of being human that most of us are not accessing because of the influence of our culture, the influence of childhood trauma and emotional shutdown, and the ways that we have been conditioned not to value these core senses or ways of being. Now, interestingly, spiritual intelligence, I believe, can best be understood in the way it shows up in the four core elements of life, or the four core dimensions of life: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. So this is not redundant, because when I say the spiritual dimension of life, I'm talking about your answer to the big questions: purpose, meaning, values, relationships, what is of ultimate importance, why you think we're here, where you think we came from. And if you don't care about all that stuff, well, that's part of your spiritual experience as well. Your spirituality, ultimately, unconsciously or consciously, is the consciousness that is shaping everything else in your life. Okay, so we have the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual dimensions to who we are. And when we access the soul perspective, or when we begin to realize that we are spirits in the material world, I think the Police said that, the rock group, the Police, not the government organization, then we begin to access a deeper dimension of these four dimensions. So the deeper dimension of the mental realm is intuition, the ability to know things without knowing how you know them, or to access them from a non-linear, non-material capacity. Emotionally, the spiritual intelligence is that of connection, the felt sense of connection. Not something you believe in, but something you actually perceive and feel with other people, or for that matter, all other life on earth. In the physical dimension, spiritual intelligence is about our awareness of energy. Energy in anything and everything, the energy of life itself. And then finally, the spiritual dimension of spiritual intelligence is our capacity to surrender. And in this case, I'm talking about trust, or what some people might call faith, although faith is a little bit of a religious word for me. So when we have a connection to our spiritual intelligence, then in everything we do, we access our intuition, we feel a sense of connection with the people that are around us, or that the things, the organic life that we are connecting with, or for that matter, any aspect of life that we're connecting with. We're also aware of the energy of things, of people, places, things, the energy that is in a relationship. And finally, as we relate to these things, we have the capacity to perpetually release and let go. So we act with commitment and passion, but without attachment. We aspire to growth and goodness and good things, but we don't strive. And we have an implicit capacity to understand that we are never in control of life. And so we seek to express ourselves in the highest form possible, but we understand that ultimate intelligence and ultimate control resides beyond us. And that we don't even need to name. You could call it God, you could call it the laws of physics, you could call it mystery. I don't really care. But these 4 dimensions of spiritual intelligence are absolutely real without a doubt, and we see them in the lives of people that have a sustainable quality of success. The question I want to ask you today is whether you feel your access to those things has been interrupted by your life and the world around you, how and why. I would argue that we live in a culture in the North American West in which we are literally trained not to engage these qualities and not to believe in them. Intuition is shut down by the argument that we can only know things through the material scientific method, first-hand 5 senses. The emotional expression of spiritual intelligence, connection, well, we are constantly encouraged to believe in the divisions between us, and we are often seeing it around us in everything from politics to education and of course even in our home communities. And then we have the concept of subtle energy, which most people who've come to be dependent on the scientific, and I would argue colonial consciousness, don't even believe is real. And then last of all, God forbid we should ever give up control and simply trust life to teach us something or take us somewhere. So tell me about your spiritual intelligence. What lifts it up and what shuts it down?